So in Nevada, we have a total mess. We had a caucus back in the day. Now it seems like forever ago. It was a fourth state, and Hillary Clinton won. She won by about 5 points. Now that's where the story should have ended, and she should have gotten the most amount of delegates out of it. In fact, there are 35 pledged delegates that you could win in Nevada on the Democratic side. Okay, so 35 overall. Now there's the super delegates, but they're a whole different mess. That's not the topic of today's conversation. Okay. But, of course, it's America, so we want to make things very, very complicated. After the caucus, then you have county conventions, and then you have a state convention to determine some of the delegates. And then there's the state delegates that determine the federal delegates. So let me break it all down for you because that's my job. So right now, first of all, we had the immediate results of the Nevada election. Of the 35, 23 are immediately given based on how the voting went, and so Hillary Clinton got 13, Bernie Sanders got 10. That makes sense. She won the election, right? So now what is remaining is just 12 delegates that is to be determined in a Nevada convention, okay? So that convention just happened over the weekend, and it was a debacle. So now I'm going to show you how much of a debacle it was. So first of all, Las Vegas Sun explains that Sanders and Clinton supporters were divided over a vote to adopt a set of temporary convention rules as the permanent rules, with the former largely opposing them and the latter supporting them in a voice vote of the convention called by Lang. Lang is the chairperson there for the Democratic Party in Nevada. You're going to see her on tape in a second. Now, let me just make it simple for you. The Sanders people thought the vote was going to be at 10, or that particular issue was going to be decided at 10, but it gets decided at 9:30. They'd like to bring it back up and go, wait. Now, we planned for all of this time to have a debate, a real debate about what the rules should be. So this is right in the beginning, okay? Instead, they don't do that debate. Now, they bring up the fact that they should. Now, Lang is going to respond to that, and she's going to pretend to do a voice vote. Now, this is both sad, but I have to confess also hilarious. Wait till you see the voice vote and who she thinks won. Watch.
It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say
I'm sorry, but that was funny, man. Okay, so when I'm watching that tape for the first time, I'm like, oh, look, the ayes were pretty loud. I mean, I thought there was maybe a mix of boos in there and stuff, and there's a guy on stage right behind the chairperson going, get louder, right? And then I hear the no's, and the no's are like, no, right? And she's like, yeah, so the ayes have it. Pound the gavel, we move forward. No, the ayes did not have it. Okay. Funny enough, we have eyes, we have ears, we could hear. Now, even if you're super biased, that somehow you thought the ayes were louder than the nays, God, man, you got to check your bias if that's what you thought. Okay, even if you thought that, did you really think that was clear? Like, oh, yeah, it was very clear. The ayes clearly have it. We move forward. Everybody in the world has got to look at that and go, no, that was not remotely clear. You can't move forward on that. That's not a real debate, and that's not a real vote. So she's not done yet. She's going to do it at the end as well. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, the real import of this story as we go along as well. But now I got to give you more details so you understand that what happened here, right? But the first detail is on the rules that they wanted to change. So what that vote was about. So what do they want to change? This is great. The Washington Post reports one of those changes, the Las Vegas Sun reported originally, was a process for verifying voice votes. Another took issue with the state party chairwoman, Roberta Lang, heading up the convention. That couldn't have been more perfect. The vote was, should we have voice votes? They have the most epic debacle on a voice vote I have ever heard. And she's like, yeah, the ayes have it. We should do more voice votes. Okay. And the other part of the vote was, is she the right chairperson? She's like, yeah, I think I am the right chairperson. We're going to move forward. I think that's pretty good evidence that you were not the right chairperson, that perhaps you should have considered both sides a little bit more thoroughly. All right, now we get to the heart of the actual delegate issue. Now, again, the Washington Post explains here, the people who attend the Democratic convention this weekend were chosen during the voting in early April. At that point, Sanders out-organized Clinton, getting 2,124 people elected to the state convention, according to the tabulation at the always essential delegate tracking site, the Green Papers, to Clinton's 1,722. That suggested that the voting at the state convention would flip. Sanders would win those 4-3 and 3-2 contests, giving him a 7-5 victory at the convention and making the state total 18-17 for Clinton instead of the 20-15 that it wound up being. Okay, so again, that sounds like there's a lot of confusing stuff in there. Just to clearly explain, you had the vote early on in the process. Then in April, the one that they're referring to here in the Washington Post, in the counties in Nevada, the Sanders team out-organizes, brings more delegates in, and hence is able to capture a bigger share of the vote. Now, if all those people show up at the state convention after they've been selected at the county conventions, well, then Sanders will win, and the final result in Nevada will be 18-17 for Clinton, but it didn't go down that way. Somehow Hillary Clinton reversed it and won 20-15. Okay, how did she do that? Well, that's where we get into this. This is back to the Las Vegas Sun now. In total, 1,693 delegates and alternates showed up to support Clinton on Saturday, while 1,662 turned out for Sanders. All alternates were seated as delegates because not all of the delegates for each candidate showed up. Now, this is unusual because normally the Sanders people are more enthusiastic and they show up at greater rates, and that's why he won the counties when honestly he didn't have as many delegates as Hillary Clinton did because she had won the election. I know this is super confusing, right? But it turns out, if you look at further, no, actually more Bernie Sanders people did show up to the state convention, just not all of them were counted. So that's where it takes an even more disastrous turn. Several Sanders supporters, however, put together what they called a minority report of 64 Sanders supporters they believe were wrongly denied delegate status. According to the state party representatives, 6 of those were eventually allowed as delegates, and the rest were denied delegate or alternate status because either they or their records could not be located or they were not registered as Democrats by the May 1st deadline. Now, just to be fair, 8 Clinton supporters were also denied delegate or alternate status for similar reasons, according to the state party. But you can see that there's a big disparity in numbers there. And did those 58 people who were denied status make the difference in who won at the state convention? And the answer unequivocally is yes. If they had counted those 58 Sanders supporters, he would have won. He lost by about 30, as you can tell from the earlier math. So with those supporters, he would have won, but they discounted him. Now, did they do the right thing in discounting them? Well, that's where it's nearly impossible to determine. So can I say with a great degree of confidence that I was at the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas. I looked at all those registration forms, and of those 64 overall that were disqualified, let's just put it at 58 because some were let back in, right? The 58 that were definitely disqualified, I know for a fact were Democrats and registered as Democrats earlier. No one's done that reporting yet, okay? But this is one of many states where, oh, golly gee, it turns out that there were more Bernie Sanders people disqualified than Hillary Clinton people. And in all of those states, the people wielding power are Hillary Clinton surrogates and not Bernie Sanders surrogates. Yet another coincidence. Golly gee, 58 Sanders guys gone, only 8 Hillary Clinton people gone. Maybe they were just much better with their paperwork. It is possible, okay? Now, but I want to give you a sense of the unfairness of the proceedings, so I actually want to go back to Roberta Lang. I'm going to go to video 4 here. Now, this is at the end, right? Now it's getting around 10 o'clock at night. This has gone for quite some time. They use the excuse of the Paris casino would like to move on with their lives. They've got cops lined up, they got security lined up, and they're going to get out of there, right? But she needs another vote to convene. Let's see how that voice vote goes.
As submitted by the county chairs, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The business of the convention. This convention is concluded. We have finished all of it. We are adjourned. What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
That might have been my favorite gavel of all time. Eyes, nose, yeah, the eyes have it. What's the kill on? Bam, and I'm out of here. Drop the gavel and leave. Man, she was not having a good day. Okay, and neither was democracy, because that's not how it's supposed to go. Now, look, let me come back to the really important stuff for a second, and then I'm going to conclude on what's wrong here. The important stuff is the final number of national delegates. So, you know, if it had gone Sanders' way and they hadn't done all these, you know, whether they're shenanigans or not, we're going to have to find out through further investigations. But certainly the voice votes and all that nonsense shepherding the Clinton victory through, well, Sanders would have had 2 more delegates. Hillary Clinton would have had 2 less delegates. Given that he's behind by about 280 delegates, is that a big difference? No, it's not. And by the way, let's also remember, Hillary Clinton won Nevada. So if you didn't have any of these nonsense conventions, the numbers would have wound up very similar to the way they eventually wound up, even through this process. Do I think that I have a lot of faith and confidence in this process? No, I don't. I mean, one side of it is, who do they favor? The other side is this the proper way to conduct a democracy? Man, I like that all these people are showing up. I love how enthusiastic they are, showing up on a Saturday and spending all day there fighting for issues and policies and candidates that they believe in. That's the part of the democracy I like. But this process is clearly too convoluted and it's totally unnecessary. Take a vote and then decide how many delegates you're going to get based on that vote. It's not that complicated. We don't have to go through all this nonsense left over from hundreds of years ago. And if you'd done that, we'd be in the same exact spot we are now, but without people being this pissed off. Let's put it that way, okay? So, look, I mean, it got to the point here. Let me show you a picture. This is not what should be happening in a state convention. I mean, you got rows of cops lined up, and then the Sanders people were chanting, it's fixed, the fix is in, right? And the Clinton supporters are going around saying, arrest them, right? No, don't arrest them. It's a convention, it's a political convention, don't arrest them. And then, oh, by the way, it was over the weekend, so we had to wait for our Monday show too. And so I get it. But the cable news guys are 24/7. I mean, they've been thirsting for a Republican convention strife, right? Oh, is it going to be a contested convention on the Republican side? Trump, Cruz, Trump, Cruz, Rubio, Trump. That looked pretty contested. I know it's not the overall national convention yet, but you think that would be an interesting story, and that voice vote is hilarious. CNN, not a word. We got empty Trump podiums everywhere. Now, to be fair, I saw an article on CNN about it later on in the day, so I get it, and they didn't have all their crews on. But isn't that interesting? You've been waiting for contested conventions. There it is. Jump on it. But they're not, because Bernie lost, let's move on. Now, finally, let's get to that part of it, right? So, what are the injustices here? Well, if it turns out that they did something they shouldn't have to block those 58 Bernie Sanders supporters who would have swung the election, well, somebody's got to do a real investigation on that, and if somebody did something wrong, there should be consequences for that. That's obvious, right? But we don't know that yet. Now, again, in almost every state, it seems to go against Bernie Sanders, which leads to point number 2, which is that, well, if you have power on one side, this is what power does. For example, in Rhode Island, oh, oops, I decided to close 2/3 of all the polling stations. Oh, I'm the governor who is a Hillary Clinton surrogate, and very loudly so. Yeah, I'm on Hillary's side. Oh, it looks like Bernie's going to win Rhode Island. Close them. Close 2/3 of the polling areas. Now, Bernie Sanders wound up winning Rhode Island anyway. Maybe he would have won with a larger margin, which might have made a couple of delegate difference. This makes a couple of delegate difference. I don't know that it makes a difference in the long run, but this is one of the advantages of having power, which is that you can manipulate the process for your side. But that doesn't mean you should. It's actually a really bad idea. It makes people lose faith in the democratic process. And the other thing it does is, if you're trying to find a way to get Sanders supporters to support Hillary Clinton in the general election, if you're really that confident she's definitely already the nominee, this would not be the way to do it. So for 2 to 4 delegates, you alienate Sanders supporters all across the country who all saw this over the weekend. Wait a minute, I thought you were sure you already won. So why bother doing all that? Perhaps you're not as sure as you let on, right? And then second of all, this whole idea of like, no, we have the power. We have all the surrogates on our side. We have all the state party chairmen. We have the governors. We have all this. So we will use it to crush you. And then you should know your role and bow your head and support us. Not overly logical. And then there's just the brazen dishonesty. Look, I'm going to show you a clip from Barbara Boxer. Again, not a huge part of this story, but she's a Hillary Clinton surrogate. Honestly, I don't even know what she's doing in Nevada. She's a senator from California. So there she is, and they start booing her because she's a Clinton surrogate and all this nonsense is going on. And listen to what she says. No, when they're booing you, they're booing you. They're not booing Bernie Sanders. So it's like the Democratic Party keeps telling you, what are you going to do, believe your lying eyes or your lying ears? No, the eyes have it, and the Hillary Clinton surrogate is actually pro-Bernie Sanders, so be quiet and let her tell you what to do. Well, those days are over. Maybe you could have done that in the old days when a newspaper report would have come out a couple of days later, and then it would have gotten to other parts of Nevada a week later or a month later on the coach, right? That's not how it works now. That went around the world over the weekend. So who are you kidding with? No, we have your best interest in mind. Just bow your head already. No, that's not the right answer. The right answer is you have to earn their support, and this certainly is not the way to do it.